Good morning. Welcome to Wednesday, April 15th, 2020. And today's lesson is solving system of equations by the elimination method. So far we've explored two methods, the graphing and the substitution method. Today is the elimination method. And with the elimination method, what you're essentially trying to do is eliminate a variable and solve for the other variable. Okay, so in this case, it's important to have both equations in standard form, which they are, and we want to see what operation we can do to eliminate a variable. Okay, so it looks like that these coefficients are the same, -6 and -6. So what we can essentially do is we can eliminate. But what I want to do is I want to go ahead and get the opposite coefficient. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to multiply this whole equation by -1. So I'm just going to put parentheses and I'm just going to change that whole equation by multiplying it by -1. This makes it a little bit easier because it's a little bit more simple to add than to subtract. So I'm just going to multiply everything by -1, and that's going to change the whole equation. And follow me through that. I just did -1 times -6, I got +6. -1 times +3 is -3, and -1 times -12 is 12. So now I'm going to go ahead and write the other equation right down below it. And now it makes it a lot easier. So I've got these two equations, 6x minus 3y equals 12, and -6x plus 6y equals 6. So I'm going to add. And what I mean by add is I'm going to add throughout the equation. So notice that when I add, the 6 plus -6, that equals 0. That cancels out. So I have eliminated, essentially, the x variable. So now I just go through my adding process. -3 plus +6. -3 plus 6 is 3y. 12 plus 6 is 18. Solving for y, I divide by 3. And y is 6. Okay, so you can see with the elimination method, I've already got one of the ordered points on the ordered pair. I have the 6. So I'm essentially, all I'm going to do is I'm going to choose an equation and I'm going to plug in the 6 where the y was and solve. So I'm going to go to this first equation up here, -6x plus 6y equals 6. And remember, I said y was 6, so I'm just going to replace the y with 6, and I'm going to solve for x. So -6x plus 6 times 6 is 36. -6x plus 36 equals 6. Again, in common theme, we have a two-step equation. We're going to box in that variable. We're going to do the inverse operation of adding 36, so we're going to subtract. Give myself some room here. Those cancel. And we get 6 minus 36 is -30. We bring down the -6. So now we have one step we need to do. So we're going to divide by -6. -6 divided by -6 just leaves us with 1x. And -30 divided by -6 is 5. So my solution to my first equation is 5, 6. And as always, you can plug in those ordered pairs and make sure it balances both equations. So, elimination method, I think, is a lot simpler than substitution. This takes a little bit of getting used to. So that was our first example. Cue the music here. All right. There we go. Example number 2. So again, we have our coefficients. When I say coefficients, I'm talking about 7, the number in front of the variable. So 7 is a coefficient of x, 8 is a coefficient. Coefficients here are 2, 2, and our constants are 24, 30. So both equations are in standard form. I'm going to go ahead and multiply the bottom equation by -1. And remember, I can multiply throughout. That just makes it easier because I want to add to eliminate. I don't have to do that. I could have subtracted to eliminate, but things get a little bit confusing when you're kind of subtracting numbers. So when I multiply that whole equation out, I get that. And if you want to follow along, remember, a negative times a positive is a negative. And that's all I did was I multiplied every number or every term by -1. Okay, now let's go ahead and rewrite the above equation. So now I'm focused on those two equations, -8x minus 2y equals -30, and 7x plus 2y equals 24. So I can add to eliminate, and we notice here that when I add, I'm going to add throughout, and the variable that gets eliminated is the y, because -2 plus 2 is just 0. So that all cancels out. -8 plus 7 is -1x. -30 plus 24 is -6. So I still haven't solved for x because the inverse operation of multiplying by -1 is dividing by -1. And what I do to one side, I do to the other. So -1 divided by -1 is +1x. So there's my x term. -6 divided by -1 is 6. So we can see my x variable is 6. Okay. Now, going back to we can choose either of the equations. I'm going to go ahead and choose the first one. Remember, I said x was 6. So I'm going to put the 6 here, and when I do so, I'll be able to solve for y. So I'm just going to rewrite that equation and show you over here. So I rewrote the equation. Remember, I said x was 6, so I'm going to put the 6 in where the x was. That's a 2y. Don't want to confuse that. It's not a 24, that's a 2y. So 7 times 6 is 42 plus 2y equals 24. And again, a common two-step equation. We're going to solve for y. The opposite of 42 is to subtract 42. So 2y equals, well, 24 minus 42 is -18. And the opposite of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2. So these cancel because 2 divided by 2 is 1, 1y, and -18 divided by 2 is -9. So my solution to this ordered pair, or this, not ordered pair, this system is 6, -9. Okay, and again, you can actually check that answer by plugging in both variables and see if it balances both equations. We could plug it in here and see if it does balance. So we could put the 6 right here and the -9 right here. And I'll just go ahead quickly and do that in my head just to check. 8 times 6 is 48. 2 times -9 is -18. 48 plus -18 is 30. So that is the correct solution for that example, 6, -9. And again, feel free to pause the videos and kind of follow along on my steps as I move to the last example. So, all right. Sorry for the shaky camera angle. All right. We will rise up and get through this. Yes, we will. Okay, so example number 3. -4x plus 9y equals 9. 6 minus 3y equals -6. So this is one of the tougher ones because in this case we don't have an opposite coefficient. See, -4, we need 4 as our opposite there. We don't have it. 9, we need Negative 9 is our opposite. We don't have it. But this is a real easy solution. How do we get 4 here? Well, to make it the opposite. So what we could do is we could multiply the whole equation by 4. And when we do that, 4 times x is 4x. 4 times negative 3y is negative 12y. And 4 times negative 6 is negative 24. So that became an easy, quick fix. That way we got our coefficients the opposite. So let me just go ahead and write the first equation down there. And when we did that, notice that the 4 and negative 4 are opposites, and they can be eliminated by addition. So we're going to add throughout our whole equation. 4 plus negative 4 is just 0. We eliminated our x variable, hint the elimination method. Negative 12 plus 9 is negative 3y. And negative 24 plus 9 is negative 15. So we're one step away from solving from y. The inverse operation of multiplying by negative 3 is dividing by negative 3. We can eliminate. By negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1y, and negative 15 divided by negative 3 is 5. So we have one of our points is 5. We need our x value. And again, the same way with substitution. How do we find our x value? Well, you plug it in to one of the equations. We can actually use the first one if you want to, and we're going to replace the y with 5, and we're going to solve for x. So let's go ahead and write that equation. And I just replaced the y with 5, and I'm going to solve for x. So that's what I did. Remember, this used to be a y there. We had already solved for y, so I put a 5 there. So I'm just going to solve for x now. So negative 4x plus 45 equals 9. And because now we want to solve for x, we're going to subtract 45 from both sides. We get negative 4x equals 9 minus 45 is negative 36. We divide now by negative 4, and we get our x value as 9. So the solution to this is 9, 5. That is our solution to that equation, and thank you for listening. I just want to show you one more thing on that. So I'm going to rewrite that equation, those systems here, and I'm going to show you a way that we could have done that, which would have yielded the same results, still using the elimination method. So remember how we said we wanted opposite coefficients? We needed a 4 here to eliminate the x variable. Well, think about this. What do you need to eliminate the y variable? Well, the opposite of 9 is negative 9. So you could have, in fact, multiplied this bottom equation by 3 to achieve that. Just showing you a different route on how to solve this. So when you did that, you could have eliminated the y variable. I'm just going to rewrite our first equation. And you can see that when we add throughout, we could have eliminated y. 3 plus negative 4 is negative 1x. We do eliminate it because negative 9 plus positive 9 is 0. And then negative 18 plus 9 is negative 9. Then we divide both by negative 1. And you can see our x value is 9. And if we went through the same process of replacing and solving for y, we would also get 5. But I just wanted to show you that there's always more than one way to solve these problems. But the key points are, get the coefficients as the opposite. That way you can use the addition throughout to eliminate one of the variables. That is the elimination method, and that is the lesson for today, Wednesday, April 15th, 2020. Don't get stressed. We will, I've given you some practice problems. we will practice some on this today, tomorrow, and Friday. So again, we will do a good job with this, and good luck.